Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf. It's another beautiful Tuesday morning here on blogtalkradio.com. We appreciate you for joining in on the program this morning. I'm, of course, your host, Ted Odorico, and joining me, of course, is our other host, LPGA professional, Cindy Miller. Cindy, welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, what a great way to spend your morning is, talking about something that we both are very passionate about. And, of course, having some great guests every week. Of course, a couple of weeks back, our first inaugural show, we had Kathy Whitworth on. And last week we had some great gals on as well. And, of course, today we've got another very special guest that we're going to bring on here in a little bit. But in the meantime, Cindy, I just wanted to let everybody know a little bit about us, who we are, and how we're involved in the game. So I'm going to let, of course, ladies go first, seeing that this is a women's program. Cindy, why don't you just tell the listeners just a little bit, remind them who you are and what it is that you're doing.
Well, I'm an LPGA professional. I played on the LPGA Tour for 3 years, and I married Alan Miller, a PGA Tour player. We happen to be the only married couple in the world that have played on all 4 major tours, the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, the Champions Tour, and the Women's Legends Tour. I lost my card after 3 years, got married, had 3 beautiful children, and 20 years later, I qualified to play on the Legends Tour. So I've had a little mulligan, if you will. I am a Class A professional, and I was the oldest person that ever won the LPGA teaching championship at 48 years old. I think Laura Shanahan Rowe then again won it after me. But I love helping people learn to play the game of golf. I'm the 2010 LPGA National Teacher of the Year, and I absolutely love helping beginners learn to play the game. I teach people to own their game. Very well said, and I'm kind of wishing I had have gone first so we could have ended on a better note with you.
Anyways, that was fantastic, Cindy, and obviously, as I said to the audience last week, probably one of the hardest working ladies in the golf profession today is of course, Cindy Miller, and that's why I'm glad to have her here with me on the Women of Golf. I've played golf since probably the age of 7. I'm a member of the United States Golf Teachers Federation, have been for a number of years now, and I also enjoy helping people, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be in the golf industry as a teaching professional. I haven't, of course, played on any of the tours, but played many, many corporate events over the years and hosted a number of corporate events when I was back in Canada, and really enjoyed that. I also, for those of you that have tuned into my other program, I host another golf program Thursday nights called Golf Talk Live, which has been well received all over the world, and really appreciate that for all the listeners tuning in, and wanted to prompt, of course, something for the ladies here and really get an opportunity to address some of the concerns and issues that are in the golf industry with respect to the ladies. But always enjoy this game, and much like you, Cindy, certainly not married yet. Nobody's managed to tie me down, but they're working on it, believe me. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed, about this game is of course, it's even though there are issues where you can play in a team format, it is obviously predominantly an individual sport, and it really tests every fiber of your being, and I think that's one of the reasons that's always attracted me. Of course, I've played a number of other sports over the years, baseball, football, and that sort of thing, but golf has always been something that I'm very passionate about, and as I was starting to say, much like you, Cindy, I just enjoy helping other people and bringing them to this game. And I think that's one of the things that we want to do with this program right here is introduce it, because there's a lot of women out there that still have not been introduced to golf and are maybe a little bit shy, and we want to help open those doors, Cindy and I, and bring some of you on board. And one of the ways that we can do that is by you joining us every Tuesday morning here on the Blog Talk Radio as Women of Golf, and listen to some of the guests that we've got here about what they're doing in this game to help support it and bring more ladies into the fold, if you will. So, Cindy, one of the things that you and I have talked about before is I think really some of the apprehension, I think a little bit, that women still have coming into this sport. And this is something that we want to try and expand on, of course, with the program. But what are some of the things that, from the ladies' perspective, what are some of the things that the struggles that you find when you're teaching some of the ladies out there? What are they most shy about? What are they most apprehensive about, do you think?
Well, I think for a beginning golfer, it's just so difficult. There's so many things to know. How do you set up? What are the clubs for? It's an overwhelming influx of new information. It's almost like being dropped in a foreign land, in Southeast Asia, not being able to read the signs and not know where you are or where you want to go. So I believe that we need to be a little more patient with beginners and just teach them to have a little bit of fun and hit it down the fairway straight, even if they got to take a half swing with a 7-iron and use a tee, just to make it a little more fun so they get some success.
Right. And, I remember my older sister, Nancy, when she first started playing golf, she was a little bit frustrated and just not very new to the game and a little bit intimidated. And one of the things that I used to say to her is that very thing, is I would say to her, Nancy, tee it up. You're not in a competition right now. You want to have fun. And if it makes it a little bit easier, even out in the fairway, just tee it up a little bit, give yourself an advantage. And, when you go out and of course, get some lessons, then that's going to be able to help you. I didn't want to teach her because I wanted to be able to have a relationship with my sister, so I knew it was not a good idea for her to come and take lessons from me, but and still be able to speak to one another. But so I directed her to somebody I certainly trusted. But I think that one of the other things that I've noticed and I've heard when I was down at the PGA show this year in January. There's a lot of technology out there right now, and it's very intimidating, even to some of the seasoned pros. There's just so much information coming at you about the game right now. And do you find that that's something that you've found as well through your students, that there's just so much information that they're not sure how to process it?
For total beginners, I don't believe so. I think they're a little naive and they don't even know what's out there. I think for people who have played the game for a while and are looking for the answer, I believe that, yes, that can be intimidating and confusing. But I don't think, for beginners, I don't think the technology has any sway in their mind, because I don't think they're aware of what the technology is or that it's even available to them.
Right. What's some of... if you were to sort of sum it up, and I mean, there's a myriad of things. When you're working with your students, what do you find? What areas do you find in teaching them? Especially, let's start with a beginner that they seem to need the most help with. What do you think is some of the things that they need?
I believe they need the most help with processing the information and knowing. There's setup and their swing, and they're two different things. So I think it's organizing their mind to know what they're supposed to think when. And I've developed a little system that makes it very easy for them to realize what they should do when and why the ball goes where it goes so that they can fix it. I think everyone needs to realize that we all miss shots. And I have a saying, she who misses it best without getting kicked off wins. So instead of, bad-mouthing themselves and saying, oh, you stupid idiot, I can't believe you just did that. There's a why it goes where it goes, and there's a reason, and if you understand that, you can fix it. So I believe the hardest part is for the mental management. I call it the control tower, needs to know what it's thinking when. And if you organize your brain, it's not that hard, and it makes it much easier. I just want to mention, too, that if you have questions, you can email me, cindy@cindymillergolf.com, and or I've been tweeting about the show. You can tweet me at Cindy Miller Golf.
Excellent. And I strongly urge any of the listeners to do that. Cindy's certainly got a wealth of knowledge. She's been around the game for a long, long time, and I know that she was certainly willing to help any of out there. And you can also, don't forget, if you want to email questions to the program, you can certainly do so at the womenofgolf@gmail.com, and we'll certainly bring them up on the show and talk about if you have some questions or concerns about the game that you'd like discussed on the program, or if you have an idea for a future program that you would like for Cindy and I to talk about. We'll be more than happy to do that. And don't forget, we're live every Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com, and you just, in the search area, you just type in Women of Golf, and you'll certainly get us. And, of course, you can call in during the live broadcast, which is, again, Tuesday mornings from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can call and speak to either Cindy and I or say hello to our guests at area code 347-945-5855. And don't forget, you can also email questions at womenofgolf@gmail.com. We've got a great guest today. I'm just waiting for her to come on board here in a few minutes. But she was actually on my other program, Golf Talk Live, last year with some great ladies in the business, Nicole Weller being one, and Nancy Corsalino and Carol Preisinger joining me at that particular time. We talked about some of the things, and of course you can only get so much in during an hour show at the time, but we want to keep the momentum going, if you will, with this program and talking about some really important issues that women face in the golf industry, both good and of course some of the not so good that still need some work on it. We're going to try and break through that barrier if we can with the Women of Golf. But Nancy was a great guest. Unfortunately, she only had a few moments with us that particular day, but she's going to come on this morning and talk about a couple of areas. And just let me, if I can, just read out a little bit here on the program. Our special guest, of course, is Nancy Henderson from the LPGA Foundation. And here's just a little bit about the foundation, just to, for those of you that maybe are not as familiar. The LPGA Foundation was established back in 1991 and is, of course, a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization. Its primary function, of course, which supports junior golf programs, scholarships, and offers financial assistance programs for women and young ladies. And certainly a great cause. The LPGA Foundation, of course, has four main goals. First one being is to develop and maintain junior golf programs across the country here, to develop and maintain scholarship programs for junior golfers, and, of course, to maintain a financial assistance fund for those in the golf industry, and, of course, to conduct research and development educational activities related to golf instruction. And since its inception in 91, the LPGA Foundation has created and supported a number of programs to achieve these objectives, the LPGA USGA Girls Golf being one of them, one of the Foundation's programs, which has established the LPGA Foundation as a leader in the golf industry and youth initiatives. So it's a great foundation, and of course Nancy Henderson is the president of that foundation. And we're just going to wait another few minutes here. She's not quite with us, but I wanted to get that out there. And tell me from your perspective just a little bit your understanding of the foundation, and I'm sure you've had some dealings through them as an LPGA player. Cindy, if you don't mind.
Well, I happen to be the director of the LPGA Girls Golf Club of Buffalo. I don't even know how long, probably 15, 20 years. I have been directing the LPGA Girls Golf Club of Buffalo. So I have been associated with the foundation. I have helped raise money for the foundation. I believe what it does is great. And Nancy might be harder working than me. She really is an amazing leader in the golf industry. She does a fantastic job. She spins plates, if you will. She has been, she started out that I remember first meeting her at the LPGA International Golf Club. She was the director of golf and then the general manager, and then the LPGA headquarters noticed what a great job she was doing, and they stole her away from the country club business. And she's been with us ever since, and we are very thrilled and honored to have her because she truly is an amazing person and a leader.
Well, on that note, Cindy, why don't we introduce Nancy Henderson and bring her out onto the program?
Well, I would like to introduce one of the hardest working women in the golf business, who's a great leader. She has a great team at the LPGA. She's done wonderful things for the LPGA. The executive director, she's the LPGA teaching and club professional, and the president of the LPGA Foundation. Please welcome Nancy. Nancy, welcome.
Hi, Cindy. Hi, Ted. How are you this morning?
We're doing great, Nancy. Thank you very much for spending some time with us this morning, and I'm glad, as I mentioned earlier in the program, I had the pleasure of having you on my other program, Golf Talk Live, last year with Nicole Weller and Nancy Corsolino, and of course Carol Preisinger. Unfortunately, you were in the middle of something at the time and didn't get a chance to be able to spend too much time, so I wanted to, of course, have you back on this program since we just launched this a few weeks ago, and give you a chance to talk about the foundation and some other things. So we've already sort of set things up. So Cindy, I know you've got some questions for Nancy, so I'll let you start off being ladies first. How's that?
Thank you. My question, because you're doing so many different things and the two roles you have are huge, the executive director of the LPGA Teaching Club Professionals and the president of the LPGA Foundation, I'm going to ask you about the LPGA Teaching and Club Professionals. Tell us about your role and what your main jobs or objectives are with the LPGA TNCP.
Sure. And Cindy, you as a member are a great example of, what our LPGA certification really is all about, and that's teaching. And you're right, when I had the opportunity to move down the street from LPGA International to LPGA headquarters, the reason why I took this role was I really wanted to make a difference for more women. I was very fortunate that I was able to get to be a director of golf and a general manager and be part of a very big, golf school in the Orlando area, and was fortunate that I had so many opportunities in golf because those doors are not always open for women. So, my primary responsibility here is to oversee our certification, all of our membership programs, and our events. But really what I wanted to do was to help open doors and make the golf industry just understand what that LPGA credential is all about and how our teachers are really the most qualified teachers in all of golf.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
good.
Yeah, that's you couldn't have put it any better than that.
Well,
Nancy,
I agree. I must agree because I know that when I played on the tour, I didn't realize that I could join the teaching division right afterwards. So I waited a year because I was pregnant. And long story short, I had to start at the bottom and become an apprentice and go through the whole program. And it is not that easy to do. But I'm very grateful, and it's funny because sometimes tour players have a little chip on their shoulder and they think that they know everything. And I didn't really have that. Well, I might have had a little piece of chip, but I truly have learned so much from the teachers and the people who run the program and put the education packages together, Deb Vangelo and Dana Rader and you and everybody. And it's like, wow, am I so glad I did this, because I think we get it. And we know how we teach people how to teach people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, our philosophy, our integrated performance system is really about just that. Adapting your style and teaching the person, and each person is different and unique. And I'm a PGA member as well. I love my PGA credential. That credential probably helped get me to be the general manager at LPGA International. But I have to say that when you're really looking at teachers in the industry, the main difference between how a PGA professional is certified and an LPGA professional is certified is, the PGA has about 8 hours of teaching curriculum within their program, because they're basically developing, head golf professionals. So you learn about everything from the business side of golf to food and beverage to golf cart maintenance. But in the LPGA, if you're taking a lesson from an LPGA professional, they have 80 hours of teacher training, including 2 levels of a practical teaching evaluation where they are actually asked to give golf lessons and evaluated on a pass-fail basis for their performance. So if they don't meet the standard we ask them to repeat that evaluation until they do. And I have to say that it's unique. It's the only teacher certification right now in the golf industry that has that practical teaching evaluation and component. And so that's really our goal here, is to elevate our brand and to make sure that people within the industry and people that are taking a golf lesson really understand that, when you get an LPGA instructor, you're getting someone that is the most qualified instructor in golf.
Well, I would say on that note, I think the men need to step it up quite a bit. That's an incredible. I didn't realize. I mean, I certainly knew that the LPGA program was quite extensive, but I didn't realize it was as extensive as that. That's quite an undertaking to have to go through, and so it's very evident why there's so many great LPGA teacher professionals out there. They've certainly been put through the paces, to say the least. Nancy, let me just ask you very quickly on this note, if somebody is interested, in getting into this area of teaching, not necessarily from a player's perspective, but what's the first step they really need to take, do you think, before committing to a program? Because obviously it is quite extensive, and before they commit the time and the resources to that, what are some things, maybe some questions they need to really sort of look at themselves and decide before taking this step?
Well, the first thing, the core to our program is anyone that has that LPGA professional certification and is allowed to carry a membership card needs to meet our players' playing requirement. So you have to be able to first pass our players' ability test before you can even get past go. Obviously, there has to be a level of expertise in terms of skill and being able to play the game to help you teach it. And, all of the information is available on LPGA.com, and we have a great education and member services team, so you can call into the LPGA. My suggestion is to just, go online, look at the website. If you have any questions, give us a call. But, if you have a passion for golf, there's no reason why golf cannot be your career. And, our goal is not only to give you that card, but then through our LPGA Golfing Careers website to help you get a job in golf that's going to be satisfying and rewarding and financially beneficial. Right now, because of the shift in the golf industry, a lot of our teachers are in demand, and we have a lot of openings for women in golf because, as you know, the traditional assistant professional apprentice role has changed. You have a lot of specified teaching professionals at each facility, and every facility is looking for a male and a female teaching professional. So a lot of independent contractors, but, our females seem to like that because you can set your own schedule, work as hard as you want, and if you're a hard-working pro like Cindy Miller, you're working all the time.
Well, I can attest to I can attest to that because it's hard to get a hold of her sometimes. So I know that she's out there working hard. Cindy, you go ahead.
I can attest to the careers too because the careers section of the extranet, I guess, there's so many jobs openings. Again, I might be thinking of not staying in Buffalo all winter. I'm sure you can understand. And I've been looking at that career section, and it's very, very. You've done a marvelous job. I commend you.
Well, part of that is the demand, and when we get great teachers, get one at one facility, then the competitor down the street is like, wow, I need a female teaching pro at my facility to get women to my course and buy my merchandise and participate in my leagues and my events, and they do bring value to a facility and can drive revenue in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that any club that's not utilizing some of the great, lady professionals out there, I think is really missing the boat. I think they bring a very unique perspective to any organization, and in fact, I think they can probably steer it in a much more lucrative path, to say the least. I think that there's some great lady professionals. I've met a number of them just over the last few years, working with my programs. And they're just fantastic, very hard working, as Cindy is. And, of course, Nancy, I know you're extremely hard working at the LPGA. And it's just amazing the great work that you guys are doing, and that was one of the reasons that Cindy and I wanted to have you on the program, is just talk about that. Let me ask you, if I can, Nancy, just again keeping on the same theme here with the teaching and club professionals. Once somebody's gone through that, do you also offer some sort of a placement service or assistance for placing? I know the PGA has a network built that for those that are looking for positions. Do you offer something like that for the LPGA professionals as well?
Yeah, that was the site that Cindy was referring to on our member extranet, and it's called LPGAGolfingCareers.com. What's great about that is employers can post their positions for free. So there's a real easy link to go in and to set up an account and to post a job, and only our LPGA professionals view that site. So that's one way of ensuring that you will have qualified LPGA professionals who apply for your position. So it's a way to really find a female teacher without saying, I want a female teacher. But if you do post it on our site, then only our members will have access to viewing that particular opening.
Fantastic. Cindy, if you don't have any other specific questions on that area, I would want to obviously give Nancy some ample time here to talk about the foundation as well, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. Of course, as we mentioned in the opening, Nancy Henderson, of course, is the president of the LPGA Foundation, and wanted to give her plenty of time to talk about that. First off, I sort of did a brief intro, Nancy, indicating how the LPGA Foundation is set up, but maybe you can kind of just give a glossed-over version of what the primary function of the foundation is.
Sure. The LPGA Foundation, we exist really to improve the lives of women and girls through golf, and we do that in 3 different ways. We have our scholarships. We have several different scholarships that we offer to girls who are going into college and wanting to either pursue golf or not pursue golf, but have had golf, in their life as a high school girl. And we also have our financial assistance fund, which we were very fortunate to have Dolores Hope donate a sizable amount of money into our financial assistance fund, and that fund is there really for LPGA professionals and members of our LPGA extended family, caddies and TNCP members and so forth, who might for one reason or another be in financial need. And it's really rewarding in both of those areas to be able to help out young girls who are so excited about their future and to assist those, that are in need and be able to help some members along the way. And then the flagship of our LPGA Foundation is really our LPGA USGA Girls Golf Program. And that's, a program that is the only girls-only golf program in the nation. And it's founded over 25 years ago and by a woman named Sandy LeBove. And we are so excited about all the great things that are happening with girls golf. And it's just an exciting time for the LPGA within the foundation.
Wow. Tell us a little bit more about that. Now, is it about that specific program? Is there a number of tournaments that take place, or what exactly is the format of that program?
Yeah, basically we use golf as a platform to not only teach girls golf, and we do teach girls golf, but we also teach them life skills that are specific to girls. As you know, girls, their self-confidence, their self-esteem, all of that tends to drop off as they get out of adolescence. So as they reach that kind of, tender age of about 10, you definitely see a difference between boys and girls in terms of competitiveness, in terms of confidence. So what girls golf does is it takes, the girls in a girls-only environment and allows them to thrive. And, we teach them those life skills through the 5 E's of girls golf, which is empower, enrich, engage, exercise, and energize. And all of our programming is centered around those 5 E's. And we're very excited this year. We, at the Founders Cup, which is a big LPGA Tour event that donates $500,000 to our girls golf program, to announce our 5 ambassadors for girls golf. So we have 5 LPGA Tour players who've committed to endorse and support girls golf, and each one of them is attached to one of the E's. So no big surprise, Brittany Lincecum is in power, one of the most powerful women both on and off the course with what she's done with her brand. And in Rich is Stacey Lewis, and Stacey Lewis has certainly enriched the lives of a lot of our girls golf members. She donated $50,000 last year to girls golf, and amazing story of how she overcame all the obstacles that she had in her life, and really believes and makes little girls believe that anything is possible. So we also have Lizette Salas. She's our energized girl, and I'm sure if you know Lizette and have been around her, she absolutely lights up on the golf course. You can't miss her smile and how much fun that she has out there. And then we have Tiffany Joe, who is our engaged girl, and Tiffany Joe is one of the most engaging players on and off the course. She's big in social media and creates songs, and it's just amazing what she does in that area. And finally, our exercise girl, and if you think about who's the most fit and active girl on the LPGA Tour, Lexi Thompson is our exercise girl. So it's an amazing group of women who are the best role models for our girls. So, we do a lot of activation around those ambassadors and just, really make little girls understand that it's okay to dream big and that anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what a powerhouse of young ladies that have stepped up and filled those shoes, and that's an incredible group of young ladies, and we're certainly glad that they're helping lift up a lot of these young ladies out there that want to move and gravitate towards this great game. Nancy, let me also ask you, if I can, about some of the scholarship programs. I know that there are a number of them out there, and I know that you have 4 existing scholarships. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those as well?
Sure. I guess I'll start with and I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I do have favorites. The Marilyn Smith Scholarship Fund is one that I think is just amazing because our founder, Marilyn Smith, is still actively engaged in raising money and contributing to that scholarship fund. And she runs a tournament every year, and every year she raises between $50,000 and $70,000. And we give out 10 $5,000 scholarships each year to girls, and it's just so unbelievably amazing how Marilyn still is so passionate about the LPGA and about girls and about golf, and all you have to do is have one conversation with her, and in fact, you might want to have her as a guest on your show, and you will understand why the LPGA is where it is today, because the Marilyn Smiths of the world, they're one that no one will say no to, and when she's committed to something, she's going to make it happen. So, we get about, 400 scholarship applications for that, and there are, as you read and go through those applications, you realize what a great future we have in so many of these young ladies who are so talented. But, so that's one of our scholarships. The other one I'll talk to is our Dinah Shore Scholarship, obviously named after Dinah Shore, who was a big supporter of women's golf. And, you just watched the Craft of Misco where Lexi won, and, watching the players walk by that Dinah Shore statue. Proceeds from that tournament and from Dinah's fund went to, establish our Dinah Shore Scholarship Fund. And we give one lucky girl, that scholarship amount each year. So, those are just 2 of the scholarship funds that we have available, but, they're definitely making a difference in the lives of girls, and that's really what the foundation's all about.
Yeah, and we talked about, on our first show, we had, of course, the legendary Kathy Whitworth was on our program on the 8th, and we talked a little bit about, speaking of Dinah Shore, and, I can remember at an early age, watching ladies golf, and particularly the Dinah Shore Nabisco Classic at that time, and what a great ambassador for the game. And there's just so many great people in the LPGA right now, but, I often wonder if they had, if it would be possible ever to find somebody like another Dinah Shore out there just to come up and not necessarily have to be from the LPGA, but just somebody who's really empowers the game to just come out there and continue to move it forward, because I think it's the game is growing. I watch the LPGA tournaments all the time and really enjoy it. In fact, and I've said this openly many times, I actually enjoy it more so than watching the men's tour. And I'm sure there's some guys out there probably wondering, but I just enjoy the tournament. I just think that they bring a much more interesting approach to the game. The men's game has really gotten to a point where it's become too much of a power game and not much of a finesse game as it once was in the days of Nicklaus and Palmer and some of the others. And I think just the LPGA approach to things is just much better, and I think that's why it's growing, of course, is the way it has every year. But Dinah Shore certainly brought a lot to the game, and I know she's sorely missed. But maybe there's another Dinah Shore out there that could step up and continue to move that needle even further down the line. But Nancy, I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about. Obviously, you offer through the foundation grants and financial assistance. Can you share a little bit about that as well? Just how if people are interested in what you offer through the programs.
Sure, absolutely. And just to kind of dovetail a little bit on your Dinah Shore comment and question, I think there is another Dinah Shore out there for the LPGA. Right now the LPGA is in a great place, and I'm happy to hear that you enjoy, watching women's golf on TV. One of the things that I think is really going to be an interesting thing to watch this year is, for the first time ever, we're having the U.S. Open back-to-back with the men's. And, to your point, and in talking with the USGA, to be able to showcase the best men, out there who are the best players in the world on Pinehurst number 2, and then the very next week being able to showcase the best female golfers in the world also on Pinehurst number 2. And their setup and their goal is to have both the men and the women hitting the same clubs into the greens, to have the greens in the same conditions, to have everything. So what will be really exciting to see is as we have the however many million people that tune into the men's open, we're going to be definitely promoting and talking about the LPGA players and the best women players in the world playing the following week, hoping that more people tune in to watch, to see, well, how are the women going to handle this course? What is the difference? I think, to your point, the perception is that, the women golfers are lesser than. In many ways, when you see a Michelle Wie or you see a Lexi Thompson, if you see one of our players, even like a Inbee Park, who looks like she's swinging in slow motion but hits it so far. I think it'll be interesting for the golfers to see that, Michelle Wie can hit it 309 yards, and she doesn't always have to hit her driver just like a Tiger doesn't. And, I think there's a lot of comparisons and a lot of similarities that most people who don't watch the LPGA on a regular basis may not understand or see, and we're hoping that they get that opportunity through that U.S. Open event. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I'm certainly excited about it.
Oh, for sure, and I am as well. And as I said, I enjoy really watching the ladies golf for a number of reasons. I just think that obviously they're able to belt it out of the park, as they say. And I know that's a baseball term, but they're able to certainly have some great distance in their game as well. But they're also very, in my opinion, despite whatever stats may show, their short game is very, very tight. I mean, if you watch most of the young ladies out there in the LPGA Tour, they're very proficient in their short games. So, if they're not successful in getting it that drive or even their second shot in the position that they necessarily want, they're able to recover much, very easy in comparison to what I've seen even on the men's tour. And it's not to say that the men's, there aren't some great short game players there, but I think the ladies in my opinion, far exceed that area of golf than the men do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I think that, every young girl growing up, probably like Cindy and I at times, you're playing with the boys from the boys' tees or the men from the men's tees, and it does kind of force you to have a better short game. I think we're fortunate now that more girls are able to play on a girls' team in high school, but there's still a lot of young girls out there who are forced to play on the boys' team and from a yardage that's a bit longer. And I think even, the collegiate play, it almost forces you to have a good short game. Do you agree, Cindy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are many schools in Western New York, I must say, that the girls have to play on the boys' team, unfortunately, but that is the truth.
Yeah, it's reality. For every 10 juniors that take up the game, 8 are boys and 2 are girls. And unfortunately, when you get in a co-ed environment, what happens is one of the little girls, like Cindy and I, will stay and try to beat the boys, and the other poor little girl will run to the hills and not come back the second session. So, what we do with girls golf is we take those 2 little girls, we put them together, and 2 turn into 4, turn into 6, turn into 8. But that girls-only environment is very rare in golf, and golf is the only sport that doesn't separate boys and girls after the age of 8. If you think about it, whether it be soccer, whether it be baseball, where the girls then go and play, or t-ball, any of those kind of sports, by the age of 8, they're put into the boys play here and the girls play here. But golf, you're forced to stay with the boys if you want to play, and unfortunately, it's not engaging and getting more and more girls into the game.
I'm going to drop a name in here if I can. Speaking of very well-accomplished young ladies, I don't know if either one of you are familiar with this name or not, but I had the pleasure of interviewing a young lady back in, I believe it was either August or September last year on Golf Talk Live, by the name of Carly Rae Goldstein. And this young lady, of course, just started her first year at college this past fall. She's attending LSU, but before she turned of age to go to college, she had won her 100th tournament as a junior before she turned the age of 18. And she is just a phenomenal powerhouse and probably one of the most humble young ladies I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with. And, of course, she's playing for the LSU Tigers right now. And I believe that they actually came second in something recently I remember reading about. But her father, of course, has been involved in golf. He's been a top instructor, a top 25 instructor, and has just really helped move her along. But he's just got such a great approach on it. But she's definitely, I think, going to make some moves. Her passion, of course, is to not only get out on the LPGA Tour at some point, but, of course, her education has become top priority. She still, of course, continues to play through collegiate golf, but definitely wants to make sure she gets her education done before she heads out on tour. And then, of course, eventually wants to even get into doing some broadcasting. But just a really great lady, and just, sort of goes to what you were talking about, Nancy. There's some young girls out there that have really just stepped up. And, I mean, to win 100 tournaments, before the age of 18, and these are not just, national tournaments, but also international tournaments. And she's actually competed against some of the top players on the LPGA Tour and just has really done a phenomenal job. And this is somebody here that really a lot of young girls that want to get into golf or have just gotten in can certainly look to as well, as if, it's not just looking at the tour players, but looking at the ones that are working their way up that have had success as well. I think she's certainly become a great inspiration for a lot of young women out there.
Yeah, it's amazing how bright the future of the women in golf right now is. And, whether you look at the Lydia Ko's on tour or, even the Michelle Wie, who's a great, example of someone who, went back to school and got her education and made sure that, that was taken care of first. And, she got criticized for a lot of that, but she's 24 years old, and really she's just starting to get into her prime, and good for her for going and making sure that she got her education and completing what she did at Stanford. And the more we can get girls to stay in school and to do that, Lydia Ko's a different example, but homeschooled most of her life, and It's just it's great to see some of these girls who are just so talented coming through the ranks right now.
Well, and one of the things that I've noticed, particularly in the golf industry, that I think is speaks volumes compared to many other sports out there, and I think that you'll understand a little bit better here as I explain it. But in a lot of the other sports, whether it be football, hockey, or baseball, a lot of these young athletes, particularly I'm referring more to the men on this case, but a lot of times didn't finish their education, because in order to get out into these sports, they had to get out at a very early age. It's not unlike golf where you can play well into your later years. Many of these other sports, by the time you hit about 35, you've pretty much peaked on some of the sports. So, a lot of them had to get out there very early on and skipped their college or university education in order to get out there and get their success. And a lot of times, of course, didn't go back afterwards. So, I certainly commend somebody like Michelle Wee for going back. I mean, certainly she came out at a very early age, but to go back and make sure she finished that education is so important, because you don't know what's going to happen with your career. And to be able to have that solid education to fall back on, I mean, she's obviously going to be set for life, but nevertheless, to have that education is so important. And I think golf is one of the very few sports out there that really, a lot of the players, especially the younger ones coming up today, really do put an emphasis on their education as being that important. And I think that speaks volumes. And you see it more often, of course, on the LPGA Tour. I think the ladies are doing a great thing by it sends a good message to a lot of the young girls out there that it's certainly exciting and it's fun to be out here challenging week in, week out on the tour and or in the teaching side of it, but your education is equally as important, and it's it should be a top priority as well. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. And on the flip side of it, I think there's been some good examples, especially recently, of there's life after playing golf.
Right.
You can have a second career and you can move on to something besides just playing golf. I mean, Cindy Miller's another good example of that. But, those that have kind of retired early and, like the Annika Sorenstens and the Lorena Ochoas who, are okay to say, I'm ready to move on to the next chapter of my golf career. Playing is not the only option, and for an Annika to have her family, and for Lorena to do what she's doing with her family and in Mexico with her charity, and there is a next step, and the Cindy Millers of the world are another good example of you can play, and playing isn't the end all, and the second phase of your life and your career can be more rewarding and more satisfying in many ways than that playing part of it. You agree, Cindy?
I totally agree, and I think the viewers or the listeners need to realize that the player who doesn't need an education that can play golf for their career are very few and far between. Very, very few and far between. So I must tell you that one of the best experiences of my life were my 4 years at the University of Miami. I made friends for life that I still play with on the LPGA TNCP and the Legends Tour. I mean, I have known Patty Sheehan since college and Pat Bradley and all those women. It's just friends for a lifetime. So I'm grateful that I am the director of the LPGA Girls Golf Club of Buffalo, and that these girls that are 5 and 6 and 7 years old can be friends forever, no matter what they do for a living, whether they play golf in college or a community college or just play golf for fun. I must tell you, and Nancy, you know well, because of the women in business events that we do, that your personal stock value goes up if you know how to play the game of golf, and that you don't have to be great at it. So it's just an all-around great game to learn, whether you're going to do it competitively, for fun, for a living, or for whatever. And people need to realize that education is number one, because there's so many other things to fall back on once you have that.
Yeah, and that's very well said, Cindy. I don't think we could have put it any better than that. The other thing too that that Cindy and I really want to do with the Women of Golf program, obviously we want to introduce to the audience some great people within the golf industry, but we also really want to emphasize what an asset golf can be in the business world as well. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people out there that have played in corporate events and see the value there, and working with a number of different women's organizations out there. We want to really introduce the game, not just obviously to up-and-coming LPGA Tour stars, but also just to women in general. I think, playing for the number I've played since, I was age of 7, and I turned 50 last month. And, I've just played this game for such a long time, and I had a lot of enjoyment out of it. And as Cindy, you alluded to as well, You make a lot of friendships through college and so forth, and it's something that really can be made to have fun. It's not always about competition. It's sometimes a lot about having fun, and it's something that you can really carry through your whole life. I mean, there's many, many examples. Arnold Palmer comes to mind, Nancy Lopez, Kathy Whitworth, those that are more seasoned in age, but they're still playing this great game. And a lot of other sports, you don't have that ability to do that later on. And you have friendships that really can last a lifetime that you've met through golf. And I think, this is something that we want to bring more and more women to the game and introduce it not just on a playing level, but also on a corporate level as well. And I think that we're going to be able to do that. And hopefully with your help, Nancy, we hope that we can bring some more attention to this program and make that happen. I think it's a great thing to do, and we want to certainly do what we can as well to support the LPGA Foundation.
Yes, and you hit on it. I mean, the premise of our girls golf program is just that. At the end of this year, we'll have about 40,000 girls who will be engaged in our girls golf program. And clearly, not all of them will move on to competitive golf or play in college or play on tour, although we've had about 40 of our girls golf members move on to play either LPGA or our developmental tour, the Symetra Tour, which is great. I mean, we're very proud of all the girls who have gone through our program, but our program is really a non-competitive program. It's meant to introduce the game of golf to girls in a very relaxed setting. And as you know, if a junior is engaged in a sport before the age of 15, they're about 75% more likely to play that game as an adult or to be a fan of that sport. So, the more we can do to get, girls, understanding golf and being exposed to golf and getting on the golf course, the better chance we have of developing, confident women who can then go out and have golf as part of their life, and that's really our goal with the foundation. And, we've grown from 5,000 girls in 2010 to, at the end of this year, 40,000 girls. And, our goal is by the Olympics in 2016 to reach that 50,000 number. So, it's definitely our mission, and we're working on those girls so that the next generation of women out there, can have golf in their lives and be confident individuals when they're doing the game. That's for sure. And
I've mentioned this a number of times on my other program, Golf Talk Live. That I think really. They talk about growing the game and growth of the game, and I really truly believe this with all my heart, that I think that the game is going to have its largest growth potential in women's golf. I think that certainly there's still room to grow and young boys and things like that, but I think that there's such a huge market potential of growing this game in the women's market and young girls market. And as you said, getting them early enough and getting them exposed to the game, sort of before that crucial age, it is going to be the way to go about it. And, we're, Cindy and I are doing this program, and there's others that we've networked with that are looking to do the same thing. And I think that that's really what's going to help continue to build and grow the game, but also come with a lot of momentum, because there's a lot of young girls out there, I think, right now that aren't sure of what direction they want to go. There's so many, potential opportunities out there. And one thing that I've found golf has done for me is it provides a very good network capability of being able to, again, it's not all about the tours and things like that. I mean, that's great. That brings a lot of publicity to it. But golf in general is a game that really can be played by anybody at any skill level. You don't have to be the best of the best to have enjoyment and fun at it. And I think what we're looking forward to doing is developing these young ladies in an area that will help them carry through. Because golf, as we all know, mimics life in so many ways. And I think that with these young ladies being exposed to it at such an early age is going to help ensure the future and growth of this game.
Absolutely, and I'm going to give you my, 1 minute or less commercial. We're so committed to growing golf for women that we've developed a teacher certification program called Teaching Her, and it's designed for all golf professionals to basically be able to go through this for different 1-hour modules online, and at the end there's a knowledge check where you have to, pass a certain level of proficiency to get your Teaching Her credential. But that course is designed to help golf professionals effectively and efficiently teach women the game of golf. There's never been any research done, and no one's really focused on that area. Everybody just assumes, well, if you're going to teach someone, you're going to teach a guy the same way you are a woman. And there are some subtle differences that can really make a difference in whether a woman stays in the game or not. And the second thing we're doing is we're doing with Golf 2020, so it's an allied industry initiative, PGA Tour, PGA of America, the EWGA, a whole list of organizations that are joining together to create a women's golf website. And that website will be up by the fall of this year, and it'll be a place where women can go to get information from all industry partners about clubs, about travel, about instruction, all areas. So for the first time, we're really joining forces and getting a resource out there that women can go to and, feel like there's a place for them.
That's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and Nancy, I hope that you will keep Cindy and I, I'm sure Cindy will be anyways, but apprised of that, and we'll certainly do what we can to help spread that word through this program, and I'll also do it through my other program as well, but and various social media. But I definitely want to be able to help promote that for sure as it gets closer to its launch. So please keep us posted on that if you wouldn't mind.
I will be happy to.
Nancy, let me just ask. We've only got a few minutes here, but I would be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity. I mentioned earlier a couple of ladies that you were on with last year in my other program. Of course, Nicole Willer, who's going to be on Golf Talk Live this coming Thursday, participating in a new segment that I have called Coach's Corner. But Nicole, as I know you're familiar with, is involved quite extensively in junior programs, particularly at really an adolescent age, and just does some great work. How important is that, do you think, to this game? I mean, it's one thing to teach the 12 to 15-year-old girls, but particularly the toddlers and youngsters. How important is it to expose these kids to this great game?
Well, the sooner the better, and Nicole is developing a wonderful program, and it is starting to skew younger and younger with all sports. So you're starting to see juniors engaged in all sports at a younger age. Our program does start at 7. We advertise it at 7, but we do have some as young as 5 that participate. And what you do with a 5-year-old is slightly different than what you're going to do with a 10 or 12-year-old. So depending on the program and depending on the site director, they may have separate programs for a particular age group, or like we do within our extravaganzas that we do on tour site, we do separate them by age and by color group, and have just a little different programming for the younger kids. But the sooner we can get a club in their hands, the better, and the better chance they have of having golf in their life.
Well said. Nancy, we're just getting here ready to wrap up. It's hard to believe that this time has gone by already, but if you just want to take a moment and just, if there's anything specific that you want to plug or let people know how they can get in touch both with the foundation or if they want more information on how they can help.
Sure. Actually, LPGA.com is your best resource. You can go to the Teaching and Club Professional page and click on findateacher.com and enter your zip code, and you'll be able to find an LPGA professional in your area. That's a great service for someone who might be interested in taking a lesson from an LPGA certified professional. Same thing with our girls golf program, LPGA.com, click on girls golf, find a site. If you're out there and you have a junior that you want to get engaged in golf, the best way to do it is through our girls golf program, and you'll be able to enter a zip code, find a site near you, and have a really great site director like a Cindy Miller out there and getting your girls engaged in golf. So we're excited about all the opportunities here at the LPGA and hope that we can get more and more women and girls into golf.
Fantastic.
Well,
and also
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to ask about the foundation. They can get a link through to the foundation from that website as well.
Yes, Girls Golf, you can get any, or LPGA Foundation, you can get any information regarding scholarships, financial assistance, and so forth.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
That's okay. Thank you, Nancy, so much for coming on. We appreciate everything you do for women in golf and the LPGA and the foundation and LPGA Girls Golf Club. And Mike Wan, you've done a wonderful job. Thank you so much for being on our show with us today.
Oh, no problem. And thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, Nancy, we really appreciate you taking time this morning to come on the Women of Golf and with Cindy and I here, and we really appreciate all of the insight and input that you give to this game, and we know that you'll continue to do some great work, and as I said earlier, we're more than happy to do whatever we can to continue to help grow women's golf. So anything that we can do to help, just reach out, and we'll be more than happy to help you in any way we can.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, as I said, we just had a minute here, so I just want to obviously take this opportunity for Cindy and I to really thank all of the listeners from around the world for tuning into the Women of Golf broadcast. We certainly look forward to having you join us here each and every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on blogtalkradio.com's Women of Golf. Cindy, you have a great week. Get out there, and I know you'll continue to work hard. And as always, I appreciate and feel blessed to have you here working with me here on the Women of Golf.
Thank you so much, Ted. You have a great week yourself.
All right, you too. We'll see you guys here next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Women of Golf. Thanks, and have a great week, everybody.